2014 podcast, and I will remember. Thank you, Joey Votto. Thank you for your service to the Toronto Blue Jays, Joey Votto. If you're listening to this podcast right now, Joey Votto has retired. And the Zoom just said, "Are you playing music right now?" while I sang that. So I just killed it. Avery, how are we feeling, man? I mean, the Joey Votto era has officially come to a close in Toronto, retired in a parking lot. Very anticlimactic, but I respect it. How are we feeling?
Kind of indifferent at this point, right? Because one, he didn't deserve to be up at this point. We said it last time. People got mad at us because we didn't want fun. It's just like, how can you kind of say that you want to win in the long term, get guys at bats when you'd have Joey Votto on a 1-year deal come up and take a roster spot and some at bats. So that point, fine as the way things played out. I think it went how it kind of should have gone. Kind of would have been fun to see him play 1 or 2 games and then a forgotten season, and we will get pictures of Michael Jordan on the Wizards,
Jack on the Celtics,
Randy Moss playing for the Titans, and Joey Votto in a City Connect on a Tuesday for the Toronto Blue Jays. Awesome career for Joey Votto. I honestly hadn't been the most glaring outward supporter of Joey Votto as his time with the Toronto Blue Jays, but one heck of a fucking baseball player, man. Awesome career for Joey Votto. Baseball in Canada got put on the map because of Joey Votto and MVPs. Obviously, there was people before him who did that as well, but Joey Votto, 2010, he did a great job for baseball in Canada, bringing awareness to it. But yeah, it's it for Joey Votto on a Wednesday in a parking lot in Buffalo
after a day game.
They played a day. I don't think he played in the day game either.
No, he did.
He did?
I'm almost positive he did. I don't know though, because
I know he didn't start.
Okay, so maybe he didn't, but maybe he knew it was it. But I will say this, and we have been kind of spearheading the campaign of don't call him up because it doesn't make sense. The Jays don't owe him anything. And I think Joey Votto is the type of guy, knowing him, seeing the way he acts, he would not accept a pity call up to the major league level. I truly believe that, Avery. I truly believe Joey Votto would be like, no, I have not deserved a call up to the Toronto Blue Jays. Therefore, I will not accept a call up as a pity call up here. So I respect that type of attitude out of him. And I respect the fact that he didn't want to take a roster spot from someone else. And I'm sure he'd be the first one to tell you that. I'm not one to just dance on like someone's grave and like just celebrate all that type of stuff that we were right. But he had a sub 500 OPS in AAA. I mean, if that's a glaring indication that he wasn't ready for the major leagues, I don't know what will be. Tough season for him, obviously. We thought, man, this could be something here after that Wheeler home run. Hurts his ankle, and then hurts his ankle again. It just signs for something that just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be for Joey Votto, unfortunately. And I also think it's cooler to spend your entire career only playing for one team. And that's something that I truly do believe. And he's going to probably retire a Red. I'm assuming he might do like a 1-day contract with the Reds some point in the future and retire Cincinnati Red. He owes it to the fans. The fans he deserves to be a Red one last time. And yeah, shout out Joey Votto, man. It just sucks didn't work out here. Obviously, the nostalgia of having him like play for the Toronto Blue Jays would have been cool, but he just wasn't big league ready. And I think he knew that. And I respect him making that decision to say, I'm done. I'm not good. He said in his video, he said, I'm not good anymore, which is a tough realization.
Yeah, like I think he could get a fresh start to a spring training and have a way better year next year. Again, it's another year older, but all the things put together, I've made quote unquote excuses for other guys because spring training, all their stuff gets messed up because of injuries and things that happen. So I'll say the same with Joey Votto. Everything didn't work in his favor for this one. So yeah, thanks to Joey for being a good Canadian. The apology at the start of the year was big for me personally, and yeah, I'm pretty surefire Hall of Famer.
Oh, easily, I think. Easily. Would you say first ballot?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't know, but I might be talking out of my ass.
I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay, who
I think
were
that's
that?
fair to say.
There always seems like there's some great guys who aren't first ballot people and people who don't make it at all. Maybe he's just more. There's a bunch of people who are deserving of first ballot as well, and I don't know
Yeah.
if they get it. So, yeah, in there for sure. Whenever it happens, it'll happen for Joey Votto.
Yeah, and like I tweeted, the worst person you know is blaming the Toronto Blue Jays for not calling up a guy with a sub 500 OPS, but we'll also say this team sucks because they're calling up bums. It's a no-win situation.
Well,
My
it was
mentions
pretty
have been
noble of it.
absolutely horrific today, and it all starts with that and the Swanee and the unsolicited shots. I mean, we won't go into the unsolicited shots, but yeah, it's a tough day. It's a tough day for obviously it would have been cool for Canadian baseball, but unfortunately it never worked out. And the Jays didn't owe him anything.
No,
He knew that.
exactly. And I think it's kind of noble to be called or to call it quits when he did because there was a potential for a pity call up in I don't know how many days are in this month. I never know. But there's a potential for the September call up, clear roster spots for that to happen. And he didn't put them in that situation as well. So good for him, man. Congrats on an awesome career and hope he can retire and do some nice things. You think obviously he's in media after this?
Yeah, I think his podcast is probably going to be launched very soon here. Right? Like like that's the type of guy. He's the perfect guy to get into the podcast game. And I will say this, Joey, you better watch it, brother. You're stepping into our territory now. All right, Joey? Stepping into our territory now. But he'll probably be on like the MLB network or something like that, right? You think?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind Sportsnet giving him something to do.
I don't think he'd live here. He made like $300 million. He's not living in
Was
Canada.
He was living here in the off seasons.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens though. But obviously, he'll be in media at some capacity, obviously, and that's pretty much it. We had to talk about that. It was a big news break today. I couldn't believe it was just so random. I was driving and I was like, "Holy shit, I got to pull over for this!" Like the guy just retired. But yeah, that's about it. But let's talk about our Toronto Blue Jays, man. The tank is continuing. The tank is continuing. We're currently recording in the seventh inning in this game. It's gonna be fair to say the Jays don't win this one. Down 10-6, the Cincinnati Reds. But yeah, I mean, other than that, though, I will say this: it was a little bit of a fun series. Like the first half of this game tonight on Wednesday, kind of rocked. Tons of home runs. Yesterday they hit 5 home runs in a game. First time they've done that in God knows when that's happened. But not the worst series. Definitely a good series for the Tankathon because those odds are rising for our Toronto Blue Jays here, Abe.
Yeah, I still can't believe they swept the Angels. That would have been the biggest boost for us in the Tankathon series. But no, they're looking like they're trying hard and they're losing some baseball games right now, which is all you can ask for. Because yeah, you're right. Obviously, the first game Monday of the series did not go well. And
No,
that was off the travel, nice little scheduled loss after a 1-0 win. And then you put together a great hitting performance where your young lineup is really exciting. And you see some flashes from some guys that you're hoping to see power from. And then today, again, hot start. And then Yariel flames out in the fifth. And then we get the worst case bullpen in. And it didn't matter who was going to go in that situation in the fifth inning. Someone was going to give up runs. And then the sixth, nothing good happened again. So kind of just an encapsulation of the whole Toronto Blue Jays season. Some good hitting and some really bad pitching mixed in as well. So the series, fine with how it's gone. Cincinnati Reds are not a good baseball team. And Ellie De La Cruz is the fastest human I've ever seen. And it's so different to watch baseball because we have no one. Like, who was the last person we had that can run like that? Ernie was playing in on a ball hit right to him decently hard. And Ellie De La Cruz went from third base to home and slid in safe. And it was kind of close. It is game-changing speed, 20 home runs, 60 stolen bases. Insane what he's doing. But he's also striking out the most of anyone in baseball. Do you think Blue Jays fans would love or hate Ellie De La Cruz?
I think he would be like a Chapman-esque type of guy. Like would put up tons of WAR, but he strikes out a lot. Like where it's middle pitches or he swings at mistakes and it just looks like he just has no approach at the plate. I think Blue Jays fans would hate him. I'll say it. Knowing this fan base, I think they'd hate Ellie De La Cruz.
Yes, he also is one of those guys that I think should stop hitting one way. Kind of
Yes.
the Ozzy Albies thing. Cedric Mullins is the most prominent that I can remember in recent memory where he stopped switch hitting and things went well for him. Ellie De La Cruz had a 2 RBI single up the middle today when he got turned around to hit righty against Brennan Little. Yeah, he hits like 280 against righties and then 210 against lefties, something like that, something crazy. So it is who we only have. Stuart Burrow is the only switch hitter we have on this team. So we don't even get that fight at all. That's one I'm hoping to have at some point, that someone should stop hitting a certain way. I would like to do that here eventually. But you know what, man? I honestly don't have too much to say about this series. It seems to just be they're showing up, they're playing baseball games. Some good things happen and some really bad things happen.
Yeah, the best way to describe this series is it happened. You know, the Toronto Blue Jays played baseball games
Yeah,
Monday to Wednesday.
Keegan made a
That's
funny tweet. He said baseball, they're playing again today.
yes,
Something
that's
like
what they're
that.
doing. They are playing a baseball game today, and that's what the Toronto Blue Jays did. But congratulations, by the way, to Bowden Francis, AL Player of the Week. Just insane numbers, insane stuff. Just pitched his dick off, really, like just unbelievable stuff, especially for a guy who struggled start of the year. He kind of scrapped his pitch. I think he talked about in the last podcast, and has really, really figured it out. Like, this is a guy I'm looking forward to watching his starts. You know, it's like it's a cool pitch mix, throws up upper 90s, middle 90s, and has and can strike guys out as well as make guys look foolish. So shout out to Bowden Francis, who has really, really turned his season around. And I know I'm not a prospect guy, but this is kind of a reason why you kind of give the prospects leeway. Bowden Francis is not like a top 10 prospect in baseball, obviously, but like
No,
this is
but
why you give
he's not
prospects leeway, right?
he's not super young either.
Exactly.
So yeah, and that's the thing. I think that's just a thing with pitchers in general, because there is this, I forget his name, but there's this Rays reliever that is on an absolute Linsanity run right now. But it is a guy who had been cut by 6 different teams, and he has the most WAR for relievers in the second half. And it's dropping arm slot, pitch mix change. That's why I always, on relievers and pitchers in general, there's so many things. And I think that's the good thing with companies like Tread and Driveline, is there's so many different things to change. If you're bad in the big leagues, you can tell me if I'm talking out of my ass. It felt like you'd just be gone, you'd be thrown away, and now you don't really have much to do unless you play indie ball somewhere, and now you're throwing 100, and that was the difference. Now, some social media stuff, Tread, Driveline, pitch change, guys get found out that way as well. And again, being a pitcher, it's like Bowden Francis's thing as well. You change one pitch and pitcher of the week, and before people wanted him dead. It's
Yeah.
why pitching is so intricate. There's minor tweaks that can make you a 10 times better pitcher that maybe you don't even realize. And that's why giving up on pitching is always tough as well. So there it is. Happy for Bowden Francis. And you just hope you can continue it as well. The more depth, the better for this pitching staff, because it seems like this staff is going to be super, super deep in 2026 based on everyone coming back. Hoping all the guys like Tiedemann, Morotis, post TJ, 25 shot for them. I think 26 is when you want this team to be really deep pitching wise.
Yeah. And speaking about the young guys, I mean, we can talk about like the Will Wagners of the world, the Spencer Horwitz of the world. Will Wagner has just come out firing, man. I don't know what it is. It's just the bat to ball, his ability to hit line drives. I mean, I'd obviously like to see a little bit more home runs, but at the end of the day, like he is just a good baseball player. And watching him yesterday, you kind of see it. The first at bat he had 2 outs, I believe it was bases loaded, a runner on third, cashes him in, does his job. He is just the definition of a ball player, and he is honestly exactly like Horwitz. Horwitz just has a little bit more pop. I don't know if the stats back that up or the numbers back that up, maybe like launch angle, exit velocity, all that type of stuff. But it has been really cool to kind of see the young guys get a chance here. Another guy who just hit a double, Ernie Clement, man, 2 for 3 today with a home run and a double, has looked unreal the past couple of weeks. We talk about this every pod, but it goes to show you, man. And I think I don't know if this is really a hot take, but if you give pro baseball players playing time, sooner or later they will probably figure it out. they got there for a reason,
Yes,
right?
you had to have gotten there in the first place. And as soon as you get up, I like to talk about the 4A players that they're too good for AAA and they're not good enough for the big leagues. I think, yeah, just a lot of playing time. We're seeing that with Leo Jimenez at this point, too. Tonight's not the indication of that, but it's a home run yesterday. He's playing his dick off right now, too. There's a lot of people in baseball, and I think NBA is almost a better thing for that. So many good players that never get the full chance. And yeah, that's why, like I said before, even Kevin Biggio, Daniel Vogelbach doesn't have a job either. Those two, they're serviceable Major League Baseball players, and
Yeah.
it is not working out for either of them. It is, yeah, it's interesting. It's nice to see some of the young guys put some things together with their chances because you still have Elvis that's in the mix for next season on all of this.
Yeah. That's just so if gun to your head, how do you make this team successful offensively in 2025? Do you sign a Bregman? Like what do you do here?
My first thought, and I don't think I'm willing to die on this take, is I don't want Alex Bregman. Don't know why it's in my head. It's just my first thought right away is like, is he really going to be the guy that turns this team into what can be a playoff team? But then we think about guys like Santander. Is he going to be what turns
Yes.
us into a playoff team?
Yeah, I think Santander's that guy. I mean, the tough thing about Santander is you are going to be paying a premium for a guy who's coming off a
His best
career
year.
year,
Yes.
right? And we talked about that with Jorge Soler, I believe, as well. Guy coming off a career year, Bellinger as well. It's like, are you comfortable giving these guys hundreds of millions of dollars to essentially stay at where they're at when they're playing their best? And it's tough. It's a tough decision for management and ownership to make to sell the stakeholders or sell Rogers on giving a guy a contract who has essentially been unreal, like way above and beyond for 1 year and pay the premium for him. So the Santander one's going to be tough. I don't think Ross Atkins has it in his DNA to bring a guy like Santander to this team and
I
pay the
think
premium.
there's a move to be made for Bo Bichette that makes this team better.
Okay, let's talk about Bo Bichette. Let's talk about Bo Bichette. We talked about this last podcast, and Bo Bichette has been getting an insane amount of hate on social media. He looks mad. He looks whatever. I think it's elevated because of how bad the team is. I truly do think that. I think if things were going well, people wouldn't be saying, oh, look how angry Bo Bichette is. Like he's a cancer in the locker room, all that type of stuff. We've had the privilege of meeting him. Decent guy, quiet guy, nice guy. Some guys are just different on the baseball field, man. You can't expect all the guys to be like the Leo Jimenez of the world, like the Burrows of the world, the Horwitz of the world. Like some guys go about their business different. And Bo Bichette is a very serious player who likes to, it's a no fuck around zone for him. And I think people take that the wrong way and want him to be like a Vladdy where he's always smiling, joking around, doing all that type of stuff.
Well, let's not be quick to forget. People didn't like Vladdy doing that as of a
Exactly.
couple years
Exactly.
ago. It's all just what they want to talk about right now, too. Bo, I think the thoughts are real that he doesn't really want to be here anymore. And I think a deal is going to be made. Every single beat writer at this point has said they're going to visit a trade in the offseason, and that'll be it. So maybe next episode I'll come with some Bo Bichette trades at this point. Would I want Bo Bichette on my baseball team next year? Yes. Will he just one of them's got to be re-signed at that point. I don't think you could possibly go into next year with Bo and Vlad both unsigned on the baseball team. It feels like one of them would walk, and it feels like it's going to be Bo who's going to walk. So
Yeah.
I think, do you take the chance and do you let Bo have the first couple months to up his stock? And then he's only available to a team for 2-3 months at the end of the season. That doesn't feel like the right way to do things. So I think just visiting a trade here in the offseason would be good. And I think a nice little trade partner could be the St. Louis Cardinals, who seem to we take some projects back that could be a little interesting because what did they send down? Gorman today? Nolan Gorman.
And Jordan Walker.
Jordan Walker sent down, and then they got stud lefty Quinn Matthews from Stanford. Like that, I would love to do a deal for those three. I don't think you could get that much for them, but if you were able to get two of those guys together, I think you could make a good deal on guys who are stock is down. Like Jordan Walker hasn't hit a fly ball in forever.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust maybe Hag can get him right, but the biggest fucker of all time who could play third base, go back to his position, and then figure some other things out as well. I think that you can get a good impact from Bo that way and sign one guy and a pitcher.
Well, Bo Bichette has a chance to obviously increase his stock as well. Like I saw, he's getting back into running. Maybe he'll get back into swinging as well soon here. So he'll probably play. Hopefully, I'm hoping like at least 2 or 3 weeks in September and kind of see where he's at. Just been a tough season for Bo Bichette. Obviously, he has a lower WAR.
It cannot possibly get worse than what it is.
Exactly. Right, he cannot possibly make his stock worse. That's the harsh reality of it.
Like, yeah, you're right. So I was never thinking of it that way, but that's smart. Get him back in here. If he's shitty for the last 2 months, couple weeks, everyone just says, okay, season was lost. He was hurt the whole time.
Yeah.
If we get Bo Timber, then we are cooking on trades for this offseason.
Yeah. And let's talk about the Bassitt comments, because obviously we talked to Bassitt about them, and I didn't listen to the podcast. Hand up, I'm not going to listen to the Rose rotation. That's not what I do. I'm not going to listen to Chris Rose change his hat every single podcast he does. But I think what Bassitt said essentially was taken out of context. And I'm not standing up for Bassitt. I think he said the right things, and people are obviously making assumptions that the front office told him to piggy backpedal on them. And I do not think Chris Bassitt would have Ross Atkins come up to him and be like, hey man, you got to like backpedal there. That never happened. Let's make that very clear.
He told us it didn't happen.
He told us it didn't happen. So
and
I think what he said is right. Like
one thing he said to us, John, was, why would I go after the team? I'm here for a year and a half more. And that made sense to me as well.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for him to just chirp the living shit out of a baseball team and have everyone hate him when he has a year and a half left. He's a smart man. He's not an idiot. He's not going to be like, I'm talking shit about the ownership, talking shit about the players. I think what he essentially meant is, and he talked about this with Arden and Shai, he said, we're not getting younger. We didn't have a plan B after Soto, which is true. There's not really a player that's a plan B after Ohtani, sorry.
Yeah.
And essentially they couldn't have pivoted to anything. And instead of pivoting, they got Justin Turner and Kiermaier, who aren't here anymore, which were massive failures for this baseball team. What he said, I didn't have a problem with it. I really didn't. And I think if I'm ownership, I don't have a problem with it as well, to be honest with you. I don't think I would.
Ownership hasn't come out and said they've done a good job this season. I think he's kind of reiterating what they've said in some different terms. And yeah, the Bassitt comments, I didn't really read too much into it. I think it's something I do poorly. I don't read anything at all into comments. I don't really pay attention to them. That I know they happen. And I know when people are outraged at some of the comments as well. But yeah,
I just think people I think it might be like a Leafs media thing that we deal with in Toronto here, where people want the players to just openly talk shit about management, which realistically does not make sense. If you are working a job and you want to be there for a long time, or you're going to be there for another year and a half, would you openly on a public forum talk shit about your boss? No. Or your coworkers? No. How does that make sense? Right? How does that make sense? Does that benefit you? Is that going to change anything? It's not going to change anything. I just think it's stupid to think that he was taking massive shots. Like, oh, whoa, Bassitt's saying the truth, all that type of stuff. I think it's just dumb. I think it was overblown. And personally, I didn't want to look that much into it, because it was just like, one, I didn't want to listen to that podcast. And two, it's like, what are you going to get out of that? You know, like what is Bassitt going to get out of talking shit about that? Is he going to just feel better about himself the next day? Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm with you, John, as well. It's maybe we can get him on here to clarify, because he said he talked to the media, which it was Arden or Shai I think it was Arden who came out and wrote his comments down and posted in a thread. Maybe it was BNS. Put them in a thread, and he said, yeah, when I talked to the reporters, they kind of understood what I was saying. He thought it was a mashup of a couple different clips, and it looked like he was mad, and he said at no point was he ever really mad like
Yeah,
that.
I also think you got to understand like the editing stuff and the clicks business. I mean, if you look at the clip, they did cut it into pieces where it looked like they went from one sentence to another real quick and edited it with like clips on top of it of like Blue Jays highlights. So, um, you got to take a lot of those things with a grain of salt, especially in the clips business when you're trying to get interaction and that. And Blue Jays fans, that's going to get interaction no matter what. If it seems like a player is openly talking shit about their front office, so I didn't look too much into it personally, and I think as Blue Jays fans, I know we're inkling and we're dying to hear players openly talk shit about Ross Atkins because a lot of fans do hate him. It just doesn't make sense to do that when you're employed by the team, right?
Yep, I agree with you, Joe.
Another thing that I didn't want to talk about, obviously, we're right here. We're seeing Vladdy play third base a lot. Is that the solution, do you think, for next year? Is Vladdy at third base and Horwitz at first? I mean, Horwitz has looked unbelievable, man. I mean, obviously, he struggled a little bit the past couple of weeks, but he's still putting good swings on balls, getting into deep counts. He had a bomb today, by the way. That ball was launched into orbit. Where do you kind of see that, Avery?
I don't think it's a good idea at all.
Yeah.
Vladdy's playing a fine third base right now. But God, it makes your offense better, but I think it makes your defense a lot worse.
Yeah. But if we learn anything about this team, you kind of got to sacrifice that defense for offense if you want to be a little bit
I just
better.
want Vlad to play first base. There's so many of the same player, and those are the same tradable pieces for the offseason as well. The Horwitz Wagners, that Leo, Elvis, those are all Barger, that group. There's some pieces to go from there because you can't keep them all. And at some point, if you want to be a better team, get other pieces that are going to help the team, those people have to be traded from as well. I mean, I don't see Vlad as a good third baseman. I can look at some of the numbers later, but to me, it's kind of desperation. I want the best Vlad. I think that's him playing first base, worrying about hitting more.
Yeah. And if this team is going to compete in 2025, we see it today. We saw it today. We've seen it all season. Oh my God, Ellie De La Cruz just murdered a baseball.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just murdered a baseball into orbit. But we talked about this, like, if this team is going to compete in 2025, if they need a complete and utter overhaul in the bullpen, like I'm talking literally every single player pretty much being brand new in that bullpen, right? Like Brennan Little tonight obviously showed kinks in the armor. He's been moderately great this season. He's been pretty good this season as a new guy, but holy shit, dude, this bullpen is nothing short of horrific. I mean, one of the worst in baseball for a reason. I believe like a 5-something ERA this year, which is bananas for a bullpen that last year had like a sub-3, who was a good bullpen. It just goes to show you, like, you can never forecast the bullpen. And YJ talks about it. He says bullpens are fake. They're just a fake imaginary thing. So I don't know.
And with them being fake, the variance from year to year is high. So they could be good again next year if you find some arms to get in there as well. So I'm not saying the bullpen's cooked for next season. If there's no changes, yeah, I agree that they're probably cooked. But again, you can change a bunch of things up. Some guys take some steps in the offseason, and then you have a good bullpen. So don't kill it yet. The idea that the bullpen's going to be totally shit, but I think they'll have to spend a little bit.
Where are you at as well with the Toronto Blue Jays not having a singular top 100 prospect? Do you think that'll change going into next season? Yeah. Charles McAdoo, by the way, has looked unbelievable. Over a 930 OPS.
Arjun will be in there, I think.
Arjun Namala will be there?
Yeah. It was Ricky's hurt. Elvis is on steroids. They're two top 100 prospects. I think they can have a couple in there next season. It's a nice thing for people to dunk on right now, but there's some influx in talent at the deadline. Like McAdoo again, crazy swing, but he has put together some big at bats, some big pop as well. I think they'll have a couple in. Well, I guess Ricky won't be in there next year, but I think Arjun will sneak in at some point.
Arjun look great. I think he's putting up like the youngest, like 18-year-olds in A ball to hit whatever amount of home runs or have whatever OPS. Like he's compared with Fernando Tatis Jr. put up the exact same numbers at that age, at that level. Obviously, the strikeout numbers are a little bit different from Tatis to Arjun Namala, but he's looked unbelievable. Every time I refresh Twitter, it looks like he's hitting another home run.
Yeah,
He's been insane.
I believe he had his 14th home run of the year
Yeah, today.
in A ball. So
Yeah.
I'm really high on his bat talent. Strikeouts are okay. They're part of the baseball game. I just told you Ellie De La Cruz leads the league in strikeouts. You can still be a super good player if you strike out a lot. It's not ideal. People will like to clown on you for it, and there's nothing you can do about it, but you can still be a good player that strikes out. And I think the bat to ball will continue to get better as well as he climbs up. He's so young. He's 18. He was younger than a ton of the kids in this year's draft.
That's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm high on him, man. It's the power is legit, and from a middle infield spot, you can dream on that. So, yeah, Arjun's been a nice little run to get us back in a happy mood about his development. Because when he got on the development list when he was down from A ball, things weren't going so well in prospect land here. But yeah, again, now the average age has gone down as well with Joey Votto being down for Toronto Blue Jays prospects.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's a really good point. I guess we already kind of touched upon the games. Like yesterday's game rocked. It was a great lineup. Yesterday's lineup banged, man. Absolutely banged. I mean, Springer, Varsho, Guerrero, Wagner, Kirk, Horowitz, Loperfido had a great game. Jimenez had a great game. Every guy on the Toronto Blue Jays had a hit before the fifth
We're
inning.
starting to get some signs of life from Joey Loperfido.
Yes,
He
he's
does
really starting to figure it out.
Yeah, the thing I thought I noticed with him, and can be totally wrong, he gets a ton of topspin when he hits his liners. That was something I noticed during batting practice when we were out on the field at Wrigley. I thought he was just top spinning everything that was a line drive to right field. And then he backspin one out for the home run off Imanaga. He had a triple yesterday. It just snuck inside. Again, that was thanks to the new dimensions at the Rogers Center. But we're seeing some signs of life of Joey Loperfido, which is a very, very good thing. And then we saw kind of a sign of life from David Schneider again today with the hit, then a couple strikeouts as well, and some big spots. I don't know what to make of all these things. We need some hope for next season with the guys we have up here right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and I guess we can go into this weekend series. Not really much to talk about in Blue Jays land. Like this team is just not great to say the least.
Yeah, they're playing baseball games.
Yeah, they're playing that. They're doing the thing. They're working their jobs. They're punching in and punching out. Yeah. That's what the Toronto Blue Jays are doing. Let's talk about this weekend series. 4-game set against the Angels. And by the way, Will Wagner will be coming on the podcast. It's tough because we work jobs, so we can't have him on in the morning and then post the pod at night. But we're hoping to get that done on the Labor Day weekend, like on the Monday. I believe they had the off day.
Yeah.
So that'd probably be the best time to get him on. But yeah, let's talk about this series. A 4-game set against the Angels. The Jays are pushing back every starter. So Bassitt will be going Friday, Bowden Saturday, Gossman Sunday. Yeah, and that's it. So they don't know who's going tomorrow. They're talking about Yarbrough being the opener. We'll be in the building for that. Shout out to Marriott for getting us a room that overlooks the stadium. That's going to be cool. A video will come along with that. We'll do the Gate 14 cribs there. But tomorrow's game is going to suck. I just want to say this very clear. Like tomorrow's game is going to be terrible.
Yeah. Who's on the mound for the Angels tomorrow? Do you know?
Canning.
Griffin, Canning, Ryan Yarbrough. Fuck baseball, dude. What? Oh my God.
It's not an ideal pitching matchup. And then the Angels haven't released their starter for Friday. For Saturday, it's Carson Fulmer. And then Sunday, it's Tyler Anderson.
Oh my God.
They're just going to split. Like, honestly, they're just going to split this series. Like, it's the most obvious split ever.
You can't sweep again.
I think if Jays lose 3 out of 4, it's a success, right?
Yeah, I don't think they can. Well, there's some shitty arms, honestly. And we saw this Jays team lay the beatdown on the Angels. So, yeah, split would be ideal. And oh my God, and then they play double header on Monday
against the Red Sox. Jano revenge game, some are saying.
Wow, what a shitty schedule.
Yeah, just a tough one. It's going to be not even the dog days of summer because we're starting to get into cold weather now. It's starting to get a little bit cold around these parts, so it's not even really the dog days of summer, I guess. But yeah, it's not great. Not great in Blue Jays land, right? No, it's not. It's not the best at Mo, to say the
No,
least.
no. Get ready for next year.
And by the way, the people that get enjoyment out of tweeting at me when Eric Swanson's struggling, like your first instinct is to tweet Eric Swanson sucks at Johnny Junta. You are fucking pathetic. I'll just say that very clear. I mean, my mentions have been a cesspool the past couple of days, I guess, but when this team sucks, I got to take the lumps. But when they're good, then you got to take the glory. So that's just where I'm at with that. But other than that, though, like we talked about, Jays played games this week. Joey Votto, thank you for your service. Just keep enjoying the prospects of the world, the Horwitz, the Will Wagners, the Loper Fitos, even Ernie. Just keep enjoying that and Vladdy's legacy run. That's all we can kind of do is just kind of enjoy what we have here with the Toronto Blue Jays in terms of just the young talent and losing baseball games, trying to get Ethan Holiday. I believe the Jays after today, potentially, I think we'll have a 7% chance at the first overall pick. Not great numbers, I'll be honest with you. 7% chance, 100% faith in getting Ethan Holiday. Let's rig this shit to bring Ethan Holiday to Canada. Why not? Huh? Why not? Avery, any parting words for the people? I mean,
No,
vibes are low.
I've been working on the vlog, and I believe Friday afternoon we're gonna get it.
Yeah.
All
right.
It's pretty much done at this point. I got to caption it, and it'll be out for the people, I believe, on Friday.
All right. Well, anyways, man, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a review, comment below. We appreciate the support, man. It's been crazy, like we always talk about, and wouldn't be here without you guys. So enjoy your weekend, the weekend before the long weekend. So treat it as a long weekend. And we will talk to you guys Sunday night after the 4-game set against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Love you guys. Gate 14 forever.